So, yes, I'm on my own. There is a little bit of an issue that is currently happening with Big Papa Smokes. And basically, what I've decided to do is I'm starting this show a little bit. It's a little bit late, but there is an issue that is going on right now behind the scenes. So, what I've decided to do is I'm going to ramble up until a point of when things go right. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't already, please make sure if you're watching this on YouTube to hit the subscribe button. If you're watching this on Twitch, hit the like button and the follow button as well, because there is more content coming your way very, very soon. And we've got a whole stack packed full of shows coming every single day. Now, this is the most important part as well if you're watching this at home. Straight after this, NXT will be debuting on the CW network. What does that mean, ladies and gentlemen? Well, what it means is that your friendly neighborhood NXT tag team partners are going to be doing a watch along. You will not be able to see it. You will watch it on a different screen or whatever you've got going on at home. And at the same time, Ed and Astrid, with a special guest, will be going on as well at the same time. So, make sure I've pressed the wrong button here and it's all going to go wrong. I promise you, I tell you. So if you want to please watch that, I would highly recommend that Melba, the Japanese woman sensation herself, will be live in the studio to be reviewing the first match, and kicking off NXT will be the NXT Women's Championship between Roxanne Perez and it will be Julia as well for the NXT Women's Championship, which will most probably mean that in the main event, you will be getting Ethan Page versus Trick Willie Williams for the NXT Championship. CM Punk is going to be the special guest referee as well. So let's make sure that everyone is happy, everyone is ready to go. But we've got a few things going on here. If you've got any questions for me to answer, if there's anything you would like me to talk about, I literally have got home from the football after watching the mighty Royals win 3-1 today, about half an hour, 40 minutes before this show went on. So I've been rushing around like a headless chicken trying to get things done and get things sorted. But if you have any questions that you would like to ask me about anything in life, then I will. But before we get into things, I want to make an announcement as well that this Saturday, 5 p.m. Eastern, is going to be the final show of the series until we may bring it back sporadically throughout whenever. But the final show will be coming on Saturday, and it is none other than one of my good friends, one of my very close friends, the man I love so much. It will be Bobby Money Munson, who currently can see that I'm doing this because I can see him. But very much of he will be here, sat down with me, and we will be going in depth about the history of OLE, about what the future holds, and himself personally. So make sure, if you haven't already, to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and anything like that. So we've got some things here. Ed Fry's Big Papa Smokes, he will be here. The man, we will wish it in. And we got Bobby Stats here as well. Bobby, hope you're doing well, my friend. Hope everything's going all right. The Queen is also here as well. Astrid Pizarro, thank you ever so much for coming. Your thoughts, Mark, on Xavier Woods going after Jey Uso, WWE Intercontinental Championship? I think this is a good move here by WWE. I think Xavier's getting to the dark side. But also, if we've looked at the history between the Usos and the New Day, they've put on absolute bangers. And with this new lease of life that Xavier Woods seems to be getting now, and the little heel turns that's getting wearing the black gear and slowly morphing into someone that he doesn't want, that he always was against, it's exciting to see, and I'm really looking forward to it as well. We've also got beautiful Mel tonight. Absolutely. Mark, how do you get so handsome? Mate, it's all because of you. I look at your face and I go, how can I be like Andre? And that's exactly how things have gone. That's why I am so beautiful. It's all because of you, Andre. It's no one else. We've also that you get exactly. Bobby is the greatest. But the issue with Bobby, he has a massive ego, so large. He's nodding. I can see. By the way, he's trying to help Papa Smokes fix the stuff. So he's in the background currently, and I can see him. So anything I say, I'm trying to get a reaction out of him for it. Just like Man United try and get a reaction. Oh, no, wait, they lose. So I wish I could put you on the screen for doing that. Oh, the beautiful Mel says hi. She's watching with me. Hello, Melball. Hope you're doing well, my love. I hope you're enjoying having Astrid there as well. I know that after a few days of Astrid, I know that I'll lose my mind. I'm joking, Astrid. I love you, really. Going on from that as well. And Bobby is saying hello to Astrid as well. But yes, if you guys have any questions for me, anything you like me to talk about, how I think that Gunther is going to squish the bug of Sami Zayn, then please, I would love to answer that. Also, at the same time, The Miz last night turning heel again. He's had more heel turns than the Big Show, but him turning heel on R-Truth, which was very well done, and I respect The Miz because I'm not being funny. R-Truth has been doing my nutting. From that, no, Bobby, do not do it. Bobby, I know I can see you moving your mouse. Don't there be no one on the screen. But yeah, no. So I like, but at the same time, Miz is always good when he's a heel. From doing that as well, we've got currently here our local establishment. Just but Papa Smoke's currently experiencing some issues with his Wi-Fi, which is a delay. Papa Smoke, but of course, he doesn't need to apologise. This is me rambling. Now, if you know me very well, and Bobby does very well as well, he knows I like to talk a load of bollocks on the internet for a very long time. So this is very much in my wheelhouse as well. Who would you like to see the next NXT Women's North American Champion? Ooh. Personally, I would like to see Thea Hale hold it. I would like to see Thea Hale hold it. I think that's the next step for her. You've got Delta coming, I think, as well, but she's having visa issues. That is a channel that I will not be doing. I talk enough on the 3 channels that I already have, let alone me doing another one. Why do North Americans call it soccer? Because you already have a thing that you call football, but you throw with your hand and you rarely kick it. That's why. If you could spell it, that'd be better. You've turned into me there. You've rush typed that, haven't you? You've rush typed that to try and be horrible to me. Ed, you know I love you. Me and you have a bond that goes on beyond anyone else. We are like family. I could burst into song there, but I'm not going to. Let's see what Bobby Stats has got to say. For me, I would like to see some in the fatal. No. See, I'm not feeling fatal influence at all. Like, none. For me, they do nothing for me whatsoever. I understand why they would probably hold it. But Fallon Henley isn't believable, or I don't believe it. I'm not believing it. JC Jane is just doing Total Track. What was it called again? Someone help me out in chat. What was the one that she had with Mandy Rose and Gigi Dolan? What was the group called? Toxic Attraction. Oh, my brain. Toxic Attraction. That is it. She's trying to do that, but for me, it's not working. But it's also good to see that there is a women's group and they're getting more time on screen as well. So I'm happy with that. But for me, it's yes, all right. I had a bit of a brain fart. To be fair, it's normal for me to have brain farts. To be fair, I am the man of brain fartians. But yes, no. So if there is anything you would like to ask relating to myself, life, wrestling, football, NFL, why I'm so good at NFL predictions, aren't I, Bobby? To be fair, you've absolutely nailed the last 2 weeks. And if you haven't seen the scores, make sure you go onto our local establishment's X page, which the links is down there if you want to go and see it, how everyone's going. But the viewers of STG is falling. So if you don't know, if me or Bobby finish last, we have to do the ice bucket challenge. Basically, we have to dump ice water over ourselves in the winter. And if the viewers lose, then SDG or whoever else is in chat has to donate 10 subs into our local establishment. That is the rules that we've come up with. But, oh, this is wrong. Me and Ed have agreed on something. That's wrong. I don't like that. Yes, it is a toxic 2.0. That is my feeling of it so far. What is the matches? Okay, this is a question for chat. So make sure if you're in the chat right now, write down below. What is the match you're most excited for over the next 2 weeks of the debuts on the CW? Are you excited to see Randy Orton? Are you excited to see the NXT Championship, the women's match? What is the match that you guys are very, very excited for the debut onto the CW? We've currently got a little bit of an update here. We are making one attempt here. Bear with us. We are doing what we can for Big Papa here. Bobby is losing his nut in behind the scenes, but it's all good. Bobby, relax, my friend. I'm here talking to the people. I'm with the people. The people want me big screen. No, you really don't. Let's go back to that. So, how did you become an NFL fan? Will you become an NHL fan, and will you join me as a Habs fan? Do you know what? I was an NFL fan because I was bored on a Sunday and it was on. So I watched one Super Bowl and I can't remember which one it was. Many years ago, I can't remember who was performing on it, but I watched it for the performance, and I got into it. And then I got Madden. When I got Madden, I then had to pick a team that I was going to support. And the only way I did it was I was scrolling through, and my mum loves dolphins, so I picked the Miami Dolphins. That is literally the only reason why I picked the Miami Dolphins, was because my mum loves dolphins. That's it. For it as well. NHL fan, I like the NHL, but it's way too late for me to watch it. But if you want me to be a Habs fan, I will watch it. But the thing is, I will get so invested into it that I will be messaging you more than I normally do about it. So, Andre, if you want me to do that, then I will happily. I know that there's an NHL or there is a hockey team called Reading. I don't know if they're in it, but I've seen them that they play matches and they tweet about us as well over here. So that might be something. But if you want me to be it, Andre, up to you. I will happily do it. I think you're most excited to see Julia winning the NXT title. That's going to be fun. If she does do it, I feel like there might be some shenanigans. But my money is on her winning. But I feel like shenanigans are entailed. Over-Femi will be on Miss TV tonight. Yeah, looking forward to that. Tony D'Angelo wanting to try and he did this Rocky Balboa show, fight to get ready for it. So there's Sami Zayn in him right now, and he's worrying me for the end of Over-Femi, and I don't want it. We've also got here from Bobby Stats as well. Roxanne Perez versus Julia and Randy Orton versus Javon. That I forgot about that second part. I knew he was there, but I forgot that he was actually in a match. Now that is exciting me more. I forgot Randy Orton was actually wrestling in NXT, so that is exciting me more. But that yes, we've also got here from Ed Fries, Habs fan Andre. I might need that Deadpool back. Ha 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 ha. I presume Habs are not great. Well, to be fair, when I spoke to Andre, we worked out that the last time the Habs won the Stanley Cup was 1993. So, bearing in the teams that I support, like Reading, who are in the third tier of English football, Miami Dolphins, who haven't won a Super Bowl in about 30 years, I might as well be a Habs fan. It joins the collection of disappointments I have in my life with sports. So, that could be fun as well. Perfecto. I'm just currently reading something. But if you put your questions in chat. I am typing as well. Do you save my soul? That song that we have for the intro is so that one that I do for the countdown. The issue with it is it gets stuck in my brain for most of the time I do the interview. So when I'm looking at, I've got my questions over here. Actually, let's do a behind the scenes of what I'm actually doing. Okay, so you're currently on my phone. Okay, this is my setup currently. I am moving house and going on holiday very soon. So basically, this will all change very, very soon. Behind me, you can see the red and flag scarf I've got here. I've got hats that I didn't know where to put them, so they're there. Over here as well, I've got nothing important really, my wallet. Over here, I have a TV that I watch shit on, or do my gaming on there for the gaming channel. Over here, I have my laptop where currently you can see the behind the scenes at the moment. And over here, I have my questions. Yes, that's and the light and pictures. Oh, actually, that's the headphones that I use, but I don't rarely use them anymore. And also, that there is a world map where it actually has pins in of places that I want to go to in my life. Currently, I've only done one of them, but to be fair, I put it up about 3 months ago, so thinking ahead of life. But yes, that's basically the behind the scenes of what I do and how things go. And this camera here is the webcam, and then over here I have everything else as well at the same time. So that's basically what we're doing. So yes, questions in chat. Let's go for another question. Okay, so let's think about this. Bad Blood is coming up at the weekend. There's no pre-show for it. What is the match you're most looking forward to at Bad Blood? I have to say, the card looks like it's an absolute banger. But tell me in chat, put down in the comments down below. Oh, fuck me, Bobby's here. He scared the absolute bejeebers out of me.
That was the point.
That
was the whole point of it.
Yeah, well, I thought it was. I'm currently getting up Bad Blood stuff so we can go through what's going on. How is everything?
So Papa Smokes is pretty much unable to connect to anything at the moment. So the solution we have, and we've done this before, is I'm going to phone and get Papa Smokes on the phone here. I can relay the questions and everything, and he will be answering. You guys will be able to hear Papa Smokes through my phone if that works for everybody.
I will do whatever way is easy for everyone.
All right. Just give me a second. I'm going to get him on the phone here for us.
Exactly. While you do that, Dara the Amazing is very excited for the Hell in a Cell match. Me too. I really hope that main event. I'm also very, very unhappy that Dominic, my Dom, is going to be in a shark cage. He doesn't deserve to be in a cage. He hasn't done anything wrong in life. So I'm hoping that he is okay. He gets the help he needs, gets the therapy, but Mr. Dom needs a little bit of help. Okay, that is very unfair there from Adam Pearce for doing that. That's very naughty. But Dara the Amazing said Bobby's a little bit stressed at the moment, but we will be getting there very soon.
Not so stressed as much anymore, because on the phone right now, I've got the one, the only, the man with the angelic voice, Papa Smokes. Papa Smokes, say something for the audience here so we know they can hear you.
Hey, everybody. Sorry to make you wait. I don't know what's going on with this device here.
All right. Can everybody hear that? Mark, you heard that?
Yeah,
we're good. We're good. Okay, sounds good. So, okay, because the way we have to do this, I've got Papa Smokes on the phone. Mark's going to give me the questions and everything like that come up, and Papa Smokes, I will relay that back to you, and then you'll be able to answer that. We can keep this party going.
Okay.
Do you want me to send you the questions that I've got, Bobby, so that you can ask them as well at the same time?
No, don't worry about that, because again, everyone's going to be able to hear me. So you ask them, I'll quickly relay them back to Papa Smokes, and we should be able to go from there.
Yeah. So okay, Mr. Papa Smokes, this feels like I'm talking to someone in a different language, and I've got an interpreter here. This is going to be fun. I'm going to love this. But no, thank you ever so much for coming here today, Mr. Papa Smokes. Unfortunately, it isn't the way that we planned it, but you are still an absolute living legend from this. So the question is for you, and we're going to start things off as well, is on this channel, we ask the same question every single time about mental health. We asked this for the very first time with everybody, and so my question is how are you doing? How is your mental health getting on? Apart from now, where I probably presume that you're a very stressed man, but how is everything, and how are you getting on?
Actually, Papa Smokes, just one sec. Were you able to hear Mark just then?
No, not really.
No, not really. Okay, so the question is because we cover mental health here on the channel and everything like that. Papa Smokes, Mark wants to know, and the audience wants to know, how's your mental health doing right now? How are you doing in general?
Well, right at this moment, it's a little stressed. I don't like having these technical difficulties whatsoever, especially when I agreed to do an interview at 4. Once again, apologies to Mark and everybody listening, but other than that, mental health is okay. I'm like anybody. It comes and it goes. It's a struggle sometimes, but I think with every battle I win, I'm sort of winning the war overall. I've been working on some stuff for a long time, and it's kind of interesting how a person can teach themselves or train themselves to think a little bit differently or act a little bit differently if it's for the benefit of the overall mental health. So I'm doing okay. I'm hanging in there. We're just starting October out here in Canada as well, so we're losing a lot of daylight every day. That's something I know that affects me every fall, the loss of sunlight and all that. So it can cause a lack of motivation, maybe a little bit of depression, just with how dark it gets, how early stays dark, and all that kind of stuff. But I know it's coming every year. I'm ready for that kind of thing, and I'm just carrying on, doing my best, doing all my stuff to keep my thoughts and my attitude positive all the time. And this is one of those things that does that too, doing a podcast, doing an interview, having some fun talking with different people.
So would you say, oh, sorry. Is it all good? So,
Yeah, all good.
would you say that a lot of people have different ways of taking their brain out of everyday life, or things that get them down? Is this the sort of thing, like doing the interviewing, doing the wrestling, talking about wrestling and the podcasting, the thing that helps you get away from whatever's going on inside your brain? Or what are the things that you like to do to yourself, or what are the other things you like to do to make yourself get grounded, or to make yourself get back to that level playing field as much as you can?
Yeah, for sure. Podcasting is one of those things for sure. I've grown to like that. When Munson and I first started some 6-7 years ago, it was a source of great stress and anxiety for me. In all honesty, I wasn't sure I was going to last at doing this, because I used to get nervous before all of our shows and before doing wrestling commentary and that sort of thing. But over time, of course, I feel much more comfortable with that now. Other than that, throughout my day-to-day life, I have some activities that make me happy and put me on the road to balance. Some of those things are exercise. I like to lift my weights. I like to do some running. I do some hiking on the trails out here in Canada, out here in Saskatoon. I find that being close to nature with a nice blue sky and some clouds and some wind and some grass and a river and all that kind of stuff really kind of brings my mind and spirit down to a place where anything's manageable, makes me feel good, makes me feel alive, makes me feel like I'm part of the universe, like I'm part of the world and all its processes, and that helps me to feel at home with life, you know what I mean? So getting my heart rate up, getting a sweat on, all that stuff helps a lot. I have some other pursuits, some areas of reading that I like to do a whole bunch, areas of inquiry, intellectually or scholastically that I find interesting. Some of that has to do with the podcast here. Some of it has to do with my own stuff that I've been studying throughout my life. But all of that just kind of I don't know, it brightens up my world. It means that I have time to do the things that are important to me. It means that I'm not just working for a buck all the time, or pursuing other things. This is the stuff that I like. So the exercise and a lot of the readings that I do just get me down to earth, just get me back to who I am and ready for the next challenge that life throws at me.
Yeah, that's great. If you're new around here, the reason why Bobby's face is there, but his mouth isn't working, is due to the fact of that Papa Smokes is having quite a bit of technical difficulties at the moment. So he's currently on the phone in Bobby's hand, and we're having the conversation through Bobby. So Bobby hasn't turned into a ventriloquist all of a sudden, which is something I would love to see. But it's very much of that's the reason why. We've also got something here from Bassett saying, Papa, Bobby, Mark, all the stars are here. Yes, very. I've never been put in the line of stars. I will take that and run with it. Not going to lie. We've also got Auntie Collins here as well, the goat of everything so far. Auntie, hope you're doing well, my friend. And I hope you're doing everything's all right with you. The next question I have for you, Mr. Papa Smokes, is you have the most Canadian voice for a Canadian man I have ever talked to in my existence of a human being. I love listening to you when you talk about wrestling, when you're passionate about something, including Taylor Swift. We know that you go all in on it and you do it. So if we're not going to talk about wrestling at the moment. We know you go. Is there other sports that you enjoy? Do you like the NFL? Is there football, proper football, not the thing they throw with? What other sports is the man with the most angelic voice in the history of this planet enjoy?
I'd like to say that's the first time I've been called extremely Canadian by the way I talk, but it definitely isn't. But to answer your question, yeah, I'm a sportsman. I'm from a family of sports fans and semi-athletes, I suppose, as well. And yes, probably my main sport other than pro wrestling is Canadian football. Now, talking about the kind where you throw a ball, not just kicking a ball. I've been a huge fan of the Winnipeg club here for a long, long time. Well, my whole life, really. I was born into it. I had no choice in the matter, really. So I spend a lot of time watching my team, but watching the whole league because I got to see where everybody else is at as well. I know that you and Munson can relate with that, with English Premier League football and that sort of thing as well. I watch a lot of hockey, like most Canadians, like most stereotypical Canadians, I suppose. But lately I've noticed a lot of my interest in that has turned to commentary because I listen to a lot of wrestling commentary as well. As you know, Bobby Munson and I do commentary for our local matches here at Prairie Pro Wrestling. I listen to a lot of the great commentators of wrestling, but I feel there's something to be learned from sports commentators as well, with the whole, just the rhythm and the flow and the way that it's done, and the kind of just the whole way you can bring it from something mundane up to an exciting moment with your voice, with your inflection, with the words you use. So that's become, since I've been a commentator or a podcaster, I kind of have a special listening for that sort of thing in other kinds of sports commentary. I love it, and I love that it has influence for me when I do wrestling commentary.
If there's someone I would like to point out for commentary, there is a gentleman over in the UK who's done it around the world. His name's Peter Jury. And he does a lot of the football commentary over here. And he's got one of the most iconic lines in football of the way that he describes things that it's going. And I think that would be something that you would be interested in as well. But let's talk about PPW, shall we? This is where I think this is where you first met. Is this where you first met each other, Bobby? You and Papa Smokes, was it at PPW or around there? Was it not? So let's talk about Bobby first. because he's right there on the phone and he's going to move it away and it's going to irritate him. But let's talk about, how did you two first meet, and then how did you get into PPW?
Okay, we first met, excuse me, a few years before PPW started. There was a different company running in our city called High Impact Wrestling, and I knew a few of the wrestlers from that, a few of the main guys. Then a new fellow started coming in and taking some pictures and taking some video, and I hadn't quite met him yet, but they wanted to start an internet show around their company of just taping the matches, showing them with commentary on YouTube. So they had Munson was the new guy going to get approached with that, and kind of to make a long story short, we ended up getting recommended to be together for the commentary team. And Bobby lives out of town from Saskatoon, where the rest of us live. So we made a studio, so to speak, at my place here. And yeah, it was just like a cold meet, pretty much. I might have spoken to him on the phone once before, but he came over and we set up our very primitive and rudimentary first system that we had, and started trying out. We had matches to call that very night, so there was no period where we could talk about it too much. We didn't know each other from Adam, and we had never met before, so it was weird. But the thing was, we maybe didn't do such a great job of the commentary the first couple of times, but we started gelling as two dudes who have a bunch of things in common, including wrestling and a tie to that HIW company that we were both working for. And yeah, I just liked him as a guy right off the bat, and I think that feeling was mutual. We became friends, and that made it a whole lot easier for us to get together as commentators, get on the same page. And we also used to call matches at my place, and then we would have a puff afterwards, or a beer or something, and just talk about wrestling and talk about life in general. And sometimes those conversations were longer than the commentary that we actually did, and we agreed about a lot of stuff in wrestling, and that's kind of where the podcast idea came in. Bobby had already been doing Rock and Rob's wrestling review by himself, reviewing WWE stuff. And so he had me on as a guest, and we did an interview where, I just talked about myself kind of thing. And then he said, let's do this as co-hosts. And that's where we kind of got together on that and started putting our heads together creatively to try and get some ideas of how can we be different and what kind of an angle can we take. We looked at the podcast landscape out there, and there was so many wrestling podcasts about current WWE, which is, of course, the most popular topic, but there were so many people doing it and so many podcasts out there, blah, blah, blah. So we kind of got together and started saying, we got to do something different to set ourselves apart, and so that it's more interesting for both of us, because I don't really watch modern WWE so much. It kind of fell out of favor with me, like in the 90s, I think. So we had been watching MLW, Major League Wrestling, and I said, this is pretty good, Bob. Like, I wonder if we should cover this on our podcast. They have a weekly show that's free on YouTube. We can watch it. And that ended up being one of the topics that really helped take off our podcast, because again, there weren't very many other podcasts covering that material. It was a smaller league. We kind of could get more intimate with the roster. We interviewed a number of people from MLW wrestling, and I think it got confidence up too, where we kind of started to believe, damn, we could maybe do this, and we could maybe turn this podcast into something a bit more popular, and something that's original and comes from us genuinely.
So you were talking about MLW there, and Bobby's been very vocal about the change of direction MLW has been going in recent times, and I still cannot get over the baby mama situation, or the baby daddy situation that happened as well, that Bobby made me watch from that show. What are your thoughts on the current MLW situation and the way things have changed? Are you in the same view with Bobby? Are you still going to be watching the content, or what's your view on that?
Yeah, I'm mostly in agreement with Munson about just not finding too much in the current product that they have going on. I'm not going to say anything negative about the company. They've always been nice to us and fair to us, but in all honesty, this isn't a great period to be watching because they have lost a lot of talent. I don't know what's going on with Court Bauer and that company, but from the time when we were watching in 2018 to 2021 kind of thing, when they had Jacob Fatu, Alexander Hammerstone, the Von Erich brothers, Richard Holiday, all kinds of excellent luchadors and all that stuff, it was exciting and it was really good, and you could see that it was one of the top promotions in the US or in North America that wasn't owned by Vince McMahon at that time. So it was naturally attractive to us to cover. They had a lot of good action. Their pay-per-views were good. Everything was good. All the grass was green. We were also interviewing a whole bunch of their wrestlers, starting kind of at the bottom with some of the enhancement talent we talked to about their feelings and their experiences with MLW and how it was to do jobs on their TV, to getting up to the mid-card guys and the rest of it. We were like pretty much the only couple we had left that we hadn't interviewed that we wanted to were Alexander Hammerstone and Jacob Fatu. And we know those guys are busy. They didn't really probably have time for a smaller podcast like ours, or maybe there was some payment involved. I'm not sure, but those were the only guys we didn't really get around to. So we did well with that company. And if it's not to my viewing pleasure right now, that's okay. I'm still keeping an eye on it, and I'm still thankful for the experience that we got, that it kind of taught us how to come into a wrestling federation and look at it and talk about it and analyze it and get to talk to some of the boys, some of the wrestlers. And I think the experience was irreplaceable for us as podcasters.
So if you are watching this at home and you're seeing this for the very first time, make sure that you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. But if you have any questions for yourself as well that you would like to ask Papa Smokes, make sure you shove them in the comments as well. They will be asked as well at the same time. But let's talk about a young Papa Smokes, which doesn't look that very long ago, because you look very young, my friend. Unlike Bobby, who looks like he's aged for about 10 years since he's met me. That's probably my fault on that part. But anyway, what got you into professional wrestling? What was the company that got you there? What was it that got you into going, okay, this is something that is going to be a part of my life for the rest of my life, basically?
Well, I'm not sure if I knew it would be for the rest of my life back at this time, but when I was 4, 5, 6 years old, we used to get a program on TV. This is old Canadian TV. This is back when you only have 3 or 4 channels, and it was on Saturday afternoon. We got Vancouver Wrestling with promoter Al Tomko. Bobby and I just recently did a Trip to the Territories podcast on that territory, and they actually had quite a vibrant little promotion going there. They had a few local wrestlers, but a lot of them were doing shots from Portland and from the west coast of the U.S. LA, San Francisco. There was a whole tour that the guys would do over on that west coast of Canada and the US. And this promotion was just for especially a small kid of that age. My family was already watching it. You know, my parents kind of with rolled eyes and such like that. But my brothers and I and my sister were just very into this. And I think of some of my reactions to some of the spots they had on there was just hilarious. I mean, like, they had the Kiwi sheep, later to be known as the Bushwhackers, that has heels on there. They used to raise hell on there. And I remember as a small kid just thinking, is that what people act like? Like, are there bad people in the world that just run around acting like complete jerks and attacking people and insulting them? And I remember just my young mind grappling with some of those concepts. They also had Kenji Shibuya. They sometimes had Abdullah the Butcher on there coming in from Calgary. They had the Mongolian Stomper. These were all heels that terrified me as a little kid, and it just got my imagination going. And that was basically it. I've been a wrestling guy ever since, along with those other sports we were talking about before, but wrestling's always stuck with me. And like many people, I guess, I had a period in my 20s where, you know, I got serious about things, and I'm not going to watch that wrestling anymore. I'm going to concentrate on real stuff. And then thankfully I got over that once I got a few years older and started craving those things from my childhood again. And I came at it this time with a different point of view, that I was going to understand and learn everything about wrestling that I could. And as you guys who have watched our podcast before know already, I'm fascinated by the history. I'm fascinated by the past. And I feel like understanding the history in the past is like a foundation for all my knowledge in any topic, really, but in wrestling as well. So I've always had that interest in that kind of angle of going to learn about old stuff. And I've been going older and older in my studies over the last few years, going back to the 60s and 50s when wrestling first started hitting huge numbers and getting over a lot bigger. But I'm also fascinated by the period in the 20s and 30s when wrestling matches were more of shoots, and guys were actually seriously grappling with each other. Some of those 3-hour matches of Hackett Schmidt and Gotch and Strangler Lewis and the rest of them. And then, of course, there was a period where promoters knew that these 3-hour laying on the mat grappling matches weren't making the money from the fans, so they started working the finishes, working the matches, making sure everybody got their good moves in. And that, of course, was a bit of a rocky road at those times too, where the legitimate grapplers didn't want to lose sometimes and would just stretch their opponent and defeat their opponent, whether it was in the plan for the match or not. So there's so many good stories, so many good books, and all I want to do is just keep learning about that. And with our podcast, Ring Respect Radio, we came up with the idea to do a series on Trip Through the Territories, just research each territory, each of the major territories from those eras, and just do a dive, talk about the history, talk about the owners and the wrestlers and the matches and the venues and all that stuff. watch a match with the fans during that podcast and just have a good time. And that's what we've been doing ever since. And I'll probably never stop doing that. There's so much of the past that I still haven't studied. So I want to just keep learning and just keep growing.
So what was it that got you into study in the past? Because I know that when I was at school, I absolutely hate history if it wasn't about Jack the Ripper, because that was more interesting for me. But what for you got you into learning about the history of, because you said that you enjoy learning about the history, not in professional wrestling, but in other walks of life as well. What was the thing that made you want to go back? Is it something that you've always wanted to do or always done? Or do you remember a specific time you've gone, oh, this is what started it off for me?
I think after I had been a fan for a number of years, I felt like I was somewhat caught up on what was going on in the current day, which I totally wasn't. This was before the internet even existed, so how much was I really watching, right? But I think part of it comes from my academic background. I was a college student. I studied literature, I studied history and all that stuff, so it's kind of ingrained to me to not just start somewhere in the middle, but to start at the very beginning in order to understand perfectly. I'm not sure if that's always the best way to go about it, but for me, that's where I'm drawn, is to study something from the bottom up, from the very beginning, from the genesis, so to speak, to see what was that spark that started the whole flame. What was it that got all these processes and all these things going in the first place? And yeah, it's like that for me. I think another part of it is, another answer for that question would just simply be, I'm getting old and I prefer the stuff that I remember from my childhood, as everybody does. Because when I was watching it back then, there was so much mystery to it. There was so much magic to it still, you know? And those are the memories that are imprinted in my memory more than any other stuff I've watched. So I think I'm kind of like chasing that all the time, like trying to find more videos and more facts and more information that just brings back that spark that I liked back then. And it's different now because I've studied business of wrestling inside and out. It's kind of like dissecting something. You can dissect it and learn everything about it, but that thing never lives again, right? And because you've cut it open and taken everything out from inside, examined it, and there's no mystery left. But it hasn't been completely like that for me, because partly because of working with PPW and that previous company has just ignited a different kind of flame in me, because now I'm helping, or hopefully helping, with a new generation of young wrestlers to get them out there. So it's not about history in those cases, it's about the present and the future of just helping all these excellent wrestlers that I know get over. If we can help them get over just a little bit with our podcast, or a little bit with having a conversation online, then that works for me. That's absolutely awesome. And in a place like Saskatchewan, where there aren't very many wrestling companies operating, we can be the big one. We can actually make a difference in some way, even though the talent, the wrestlers, they do it all. Like they've given their life for this and they sacrifice for this. But if we can just help them a little bit by providing a platform where people can see them and hear them and possibly get interested in that, then man, I feel great, and I feel like our job is done.
You said a little bit earlier on when you were talking about learning about the history that it brings the spark back. It brings something from your childhood back, and it does it.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that? Do you feel like you satisfied yourself in the research, or do you feel like there's always going to be that longing to learn more, or there's something that's missing, or are you at the point now where you've done your research, you're extremely happy, you want to do more? Are you satisfied in everything that you've done, or is there that longing inside of you that goes, I still need more. I still want to see what else there is or what I can find?
Yeah, that's a great question, but I'm not satisfied. No, and it's not that I'm trying to achieve a final satisfaction with it. I realize I'll never get to all of it. Like, I could live 50 more years. I'll never get to all of it. So I'm just going to enjoy myself, and I'm just going to go with the flow, keep doing what I'm doing. We have a couple of exciting projects coming up, a couple of historical projects coming up that I think actually, again, might make a difference around these parts. There's not too many people studying the history of prairie wrestling. There are a few, and there's a good book. There's one good book about Saskatchewan historical pro wrestling back starting with in the 20s or 30s or something like that. But I think there's a lot of stories that haven't been told from this area as well, including stuff from the big cards back when world champions used to come through, like Gene Kiniski and Lou Thez and Jack Briscoe and those kinds of guys, stars from the 60s and 70s, have had many matches in our capital city here, Regina, or Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. It boggles my mind to think of the small arena, the small arena here hosting world championship NWA matches with a strong champion and a strong challenger. It's just wild to think of for me, because it hasn't had anything like that in the past. I don't know how many years, the past 40 years or something. WWE will come here once every, 3, 4, 5 years maybe, and we don't get a championship match or anything like that. It's a house show, which is good, but there's going to be no more big wrestling history made here. You know what I mean? Even the last thing that happened here was Bret Hart winning the world title off of Ric Flair here, because Flair was injured the night before and couldn't go in this match, and they just said, okay, we got to drop it. That was like a fluke occurrence, that it just shit happens while you're on the road touring. So that was a piece of history that happened here, but really there's no planned championship matches, or it just, the whole system works differently now. It's not a territory system where an NWA champion will travel through your small town and have a match against your top heel or babyface and make them look really good, but still retain the belt. That used to be the old formula, and they did it here too. But of course, with monopolization of the big company, that doesn't happen anymore. So none of us get that kind of fun anymore. We get what they feed us on TV, and hopefully we get a live show or something. If you live in a large city, you might get a pay-per-view and you might see a championship match, but quite frankly, it's just not a very common occurrence anymore. It's sad in a way, but there's a history there to be studied, and I want to look at that, because I think it's going to be it's a rich history, and it's a story that needs to be told. And if there's not a lot of writers or podcasters out there doing it, then perhaps it's time to step up and do some of that stuff.
So let's quickly, before we get into, because I know we're taking quite a bit of your time here, so I do apologise, but there's a few more questions here before we get into the dreaded music that everyone has hated so far. Everyone has hated that music so far. So I'm looking forward to seeing how you handle that. But there's a couple of questions. So we've talked about PPW. We've talked about yourself. Let's talk about our local establishment as we are here now. You have, I think, if I'm right, Bobby, you can fact check me on this, but you guys did this from the beginning, your show together, of doing it from nearly the very beginning. You have the most beautiful voice in doing it, and the way that you've done it. When you look at our local establishment of when you first joined it to now, how do you see it? Do you see the growth? Do you see what's your thoughts on it right now?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, I've been there since the beginning. I mean, Munson and I wanted to keep our show going. We just basically needed a new channel, as some of our co-Ole podcasters did as well. We had kind of been on a couple of different channels before that, and yeah, we learned some stuff. This was new to me. I think some of it was new to Bobby as well. We were kind of learning how a channel would work, how all the podcasters would work together, scheduling, topics, shows, balance, all that stuff we needed to learn. And I think we kind of learned some of that stuff from previous channels. And it was time to not work for somebody else or under somebody else's rules or auspices. It was time to, if we could get enough people together who would have some energy and some creativity and some hard work, we could get this done. And that's exactly what Bobby and some of the others have done with this channel. Now, I'm kind of like, I'm the Ole hermit, so to speak. I basically only do our show. I don't have hardly anything to do with the day-to-day running of Ole. I give all the credit to Bobby and Astrid and Ed and all the other people that work so hard on this channel. Very thankful for that. I don't, as you can see from today's technical difficulties, I don't have a lot of the knowledge that's needed to do a lot of this stuff, and I haven't gotten on to that yet, but I'm always trying to make our show better and the channel, and by that, the channel better as well. And it's changed a little bit since we started. It was a different group with a different vibe at first. We were all kind of finding our way. We needed to start new shows, new topics. We had different people working together that never had before and all that kind of stuff. It's just a regular growing pain of any kind of company or collective of people working on the same thing. Everybody did so great and put their head down, and now look at the roster of shows and podcasters we have. A lot of really talented people out there, and I've been fortunate enough to work with a bunch of them, but not all of them, including yourself, Mark, which I'm glad to meet you and do this interview today, because I haven't met some of the newer podcasters on this channel yet. So it's all about the people, I think. Everybody has a different background. Everybody comes out wrestling with a different perspective. And that's the beauty of it. Watching different products, different styles of podcasting, different conversational types of podcasts, and then just a good group. Most of us know each other to some extent. There have been some great friendships formed throughout this channel of Ole. There's been a couple of rainy days as well, but that's just, none of it mattered because we had the people to carry off a successful channel. And I'm happy for it every day because we're all helping each other. It's like the old territory system. We're all helping each other. We guest on each other's shows. We work together. We think together. We plan together. And I just give all the credit to our coach, Bobby Munson, and then some of the contributors that give so much time, so much energy and creativity to it. I don't want to start naming people, but you can kind of guess who I'm talking about. It's the people that work at Ole's channel every single day. And it has gotten better. And it is getting its wheels underneath it. And the channel's just doing awesome. I'm proud to be part of it.
Yeah, it's great to see. Right, last question before the dreaded people from our OLE that would like to say something to you, whether they've got something they would like to say or a question, that will be coming as well. And we will be looking at the calendar as well that will be coming up as well, and that is Astrid has also put a 100 sign in the chat as well. But I've asked this question for the past few people that have come about and done it, and I think this is a nice little way to get to know someone as well. If you could have 3 qualities for someone to be friends with the most beautiful voicing man in existence of human being, what 3 qualities does a human being need to have to be friends with you?
Okay, that's interesting. I would say that humor would be a big thing. I'm often talked about as being too serious sometimes, but I'm actually pretty wacky. I like to be thinking of jokes and funny stuff, even when I'm supposed to be serious. I think humor would be a big part. I think loyalty would be a big part as well. I don't have a gigantic friend circle, but my friend circle is tight, and that's because we're loyal to each other. It's like a thing in sports with teammates. I want teammates that will give the same energy that I'm giving. I want teammates that'll watch my back like I'll watch their back. I want friends to be unquestionable in their loyalty to myself and maybe the group as well. And then I'm trying to think of one last thing. To be a friend of Papa Smokes, you would probably you need some humor, you would need some loyalty, and then I don't know, probably some things in common that we can talk about, because there's nothing worse than meeting someone and you realize, damn it, I don't have anything to talk about with this person because they're so different from me. That doesn't mean you can't be friends, but I would say having some things in common that we can get into deeper discussions with, instead of just chit-chatting about daily occurrences or episodic life sort of. I would rather have someone that we can talk about topics with, and whether it's a little bit of a debate or some agreement as well, both are good, but as long as we can have a discussion and get something out of it.
I don't know whether you've seen the comment in chat there, Bobby. Mobile says, smokes well with others. Right, before we get into that now, I would like to say thank you ever so much for the time. I know that it was all stressful for you. We're quickly going to go and do a little loop of what's going to be coming up as someone needs to run quickly to go somewhere. Toilet. So I'm going to play the calendar, and when I come back, we will be doing the OLE Asks and the one-word questions, which I am very excited for this one. Also, I'm also enlisting Bobby as well. He doesn't know this until now. That there are some of the wrestlers he sent me, but I'm also going to ask him to ask a few himself as well, as he knows some, and I want to see his reaction to yourself as well. But if you haven't already and you're watching our local establishment for the first time, make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're watching this on YouTube, and make sure you click the bell to get instant notification for when we're live. And if you're watching this on Twitch as well, make sure you hit that follow button as well moving forward, so you'll get every notification. Because if you get a notification, it's probably because we've got this coming up for you.
Please note. Never gonna stop, never gonna change, never gonna do the things you say. I run my own way to get there. Fools are calling and I don't seem to care. In the air, no more crowd, just the opposite kind of few clouds. So tell me this time is coming, for the sake of all your lies. Why don't you try to be why? Now that I need you, why? Don't
Well, instead of playing the calendar for a second time, I'll just fill in chatting for a moment here with everybody. Papa Smokes, just hang tight. Mark will be back in a moment, and he's got a whole bunch more fun here for you as well, too. But again, one thing that didn't appear on the calendar, everybody, WWE's Bad Blood is this Saturday. Make sure you tune it in. I'm sure we will have a OLE post show for you coming up Saturday to take care of business there. And Mark has made his way back to the chat. And as he settles in, we will turn it back over to the interview master, Mark, here to continue this conversation with Papa Smokes.
I've had to run. I'm fat. That is not a good idea if you're a fat man, is to run. But no, yeah, thank you. Hopefully, Bobby, you will let me be there Saturday. Yes. I knew I'd find a way in. But yes, I will hopefully be here for the post show. Right. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. This is the one that we've all been waiting for, and it is time. Not for this. You didn't even hear that. We've got to play it louder. One more time. There we go. It is time for our favourite time of the day. It is. Bobby, you get to experience this now, literally here, for the first time. Actually, this is cheating for you, because you're doing this Saturday. You're already getting wind of how to do things.
I've watched every single one. I already have wind of how to do this.
Whoa. Astrid. Right, you've already threatened me today, and Ed have threatened me in the chat, in the Discord. No, I am here for my dirty dom. And that's why I need to be there for my dirty dom. Anyway, enough of you. We're now going to go into this now, and we've got... Bobby, do you want to read out what you said, or do you want me to read it out for you?
Oh, you can read it out for me.
Okay, so we're going to ask the first question here for you before we get into what Bobby would like to say. The first question for you is the same question that he's asked every single person, whether dead or alive. Who would you like to interview and why?
Okay, oh man, that's a pretty interesting question, and it covers so much ground. But I might say, like, I'd be scared to interview a huge superstar or an important historical figure from the past, because I'd be scared I might screw it up. But let's just fantasize a little bit. I might pick then just a huge wrestling figure, someone that's had one foot in the old school, one foot in the new school, and had some tremendous success with that. I might pick the greatest NWA wrestler that ever lived, Harley Race, because that guy did the whole life as a wrestler. I mean, just not only the wrestling life, but the wrestling life just pumped up to its maximum status. He was 7-time NWA champion and just traveled the road and defended that title in all the little towns, all the little cities, everywhere across the world, from Japan to England to Canada to America to everywhere. And I think that, again, I would be scared to ask the guy questions, but I really think that it could go well just to get him talking about some stories, talking about some of the famous people he worked with, and then, you could get to the final part at the end where he was handsome Harley Race in the WWF, and you could get stories about the Ultimate Warrior and more modern weird wrestlers that he would definitely have stories about. I think it would be good. I think you could encompass a lot of wrestling history through interviewing that one guy. So yeah, I'd pick Harley Race, I think.
I think that's a good pick. And what he would like to say to you is for what I would like to say to my brother, Papa Smokes. Well, since the being aligned with Papa Smokes as co-commentating partners, I knew I had found a friend I could always rely on. Papa Smokes has always had my back and trusted me with these crazy ideas I often have. Papa Smokes is the true definition of a brother to me. It is through this brotherhood that we were able to come up with the show that we have done together. I have learned a lot from this great mind of Papa Smokes of all the people in the space, if professional wrestling, Papa Smokes knows me the best and has always had my back no matter what. Papa Smokes, I appreciate everything you've done for me over the years, and I know we will keep pushing the team forward until we get to the top. That is what Bobby Munson would like to say to you.
Oh, that's so awesome. Thanks, Bobby. I can tell you thanks. I know you're right there listening.
You're welcome, Papa Smokes. It's all true.
Oh, for sure. And I already talked about the same thing. I swear our experiences were the same. We have a chemistry as guys working together, but it developed into a friendship too. And I'm so glad to have Bobby Munson as a friend as well, because he helps me so much. He encourages me so much. There were times where I didn't know what I was doing. There were times where in the early days where it felt like the show wasn't doing so good and we weren't sure what we were going to do and everything, but Bobby never lost the desire to move forward. He never lost ideas to get stuff bigger, to make stuff more popular and more viewed for our channel, but to also enrich us personally. Like, he never forgot about that side of it. He knew that I didn't want to do discussions on some of the main popular companies in wrestling, partly because the market was saturated, but partly because I don't want to watch that stuff anymore. And we made it work, and that's what friends can do, as well as good business partners or whatever. We understand each other, and I couldn't be happier with the way things went with Bobby. I've thought numerous times, like, what would I have done in the same situation if it had been someone other than Munson? And I don't think it would have worked, man. Like, I really don't, because that's how close we got, and that's how into each other's minds and creativity we've gotten, and it's just that friendship too. And I never want to stop. I refuse to stop, and as long as Bobby wants to keep going, I'm going to keep going too, and I know we're getting somewhere too. So it's good to know he has my back. I always have his back, and one of my best friends. I'm glad to call him brother.
Thank you.
So I am interviewing Bobby Munson on Saturday. Is there something you would like to say to him for that? Because I don't know if I'll be able to get a message over to you or anything before then.
You can message him on X. He's on X.
Okay, but we'll do it now because you're right here, and it's going to make you more awkward because you've got to hold the phone. But is there something you would like to say to Bobby, or anything that you would like to say to him that you haven't really had the chance to say to him before?
Well, I want to make a joke right now just to piss him off, kind of, but no, just to add on to what I did before, or what I just said before. I think it's a fruitful relationship. It's gone on for, what has it been, Bob? 7 years now, or something like that?
7, 8, on the cusp of 8 years, around there somewhere.
Yeah, and it's like I said, from that first cold meeting where we didn't know what the hell was going on. We didn't know each other. We didn't know what we were doing. We didn't know how to do it. But that's the time where we pulled together, where it would have been easy to say, like, yeah, I don't know what the fuck is going on here. I don't know, this guy's so great. I'm not doing this. It would have been easy to give up at that time for either of us. But there was always a glimmer of hope that, okay, this guy's okay. I like him. So if I keep doing my job, he's going to keep doing his job, and we can move forward. That's literally how it was, I think. And I'm so glad with the way it turned out, and I'm just thankful all the time to think of how we started and where we're at now. Just loving it all the time.
Perfect. Right, next up, we have a question here from Melbourne. Well, she doesn't have a question, but she has something that she would like to say to you. She has put, Papa Smokes, the man with the angelic voice. I have known Smokes for years now, and he's a huge supporter to everyone on OLE. with his hilarious sense of humour and his smooth vocals. Listening to Bobby and him banter is one of my favourite times of the week. Passionate, opinionated Papa Smokes is the watcher of OLE, always popping in to say hello, to put a smile on everyone's face. I actually don't have a question for Papa Smokes, but I would like to say to him and what a valued and important person he is to us and all here. I look forward to being able to work with him again soon. That is what Melba would like to say to you.
Oh, that's so nice, Mel. Thank you so much. And I feel similarly about her as well. She's one of my favorites on this channel. I've seen her on X for even years before I knew her, and I thought there's a fan up there in Edmonton that's really watching the local shows and watching the Japanese stuff. And in fact, her and Andre's Japanese wrestling review on Friday nights is one of my favorite Ole shows, because I'm kind of fascinated with Japanese wrestling, but I feel so far behind in the modern day stuff that I don't take much time to watch it. But if I watch their show, I can kind of follow along what's going on in the scene these days, because Andre and Mel are very, very good at what they do. I love their show. They have personality, they're conversational, and they give you the content that you're looking for. So that's great, Mel. Thank you for the kind words, and I hope to work together again as well anytime, and that goes for anybody on Ole. Love it, and please collaborate, and I want to get out there and meet and work with all of you guys.
That's great. Astrid has also put a little line here to say, I love how you share your knowledge and passion for the business. And her question is for you. What inspired you into jumping into podcasting?
I think it started by doing commentary with Bobby. And then, like I said, Bobby already had a small podcast going when I first met him called Rock and Rob's Wrestling Connection or something to that effect. And yeah, he had asked me to be a guest on there, just partly for the local wrestling fans to meet me, their new commentator. A lot of them had listened to Bob already online but didn't know who I was. So in a way, it was an introduction to the local fans that I was doing commentary for. And the conversation went well. We did a nice hour interview and all that, and I think it just got Bobby's brain spinning a bit, and it wasn't long after that he asked me to co-host. It might have just been a couple of episodes at first, but then it quickly became a full-time co-host. And like I say, I was nervous at first, and I wasn't completely sure, because I'm that kind of guy. I get anxious about speaking in public and having people listening to me and stuff. But like anything new, you have to practice. You have to dive in, get those fears out of the way, realize that nothing bad's going to happen from this. You can just talk. If you don't like the way it sounds sometimes, then work on it. And that's what it is. It's just practice. One podcast at least a week, and calling some matches. Both of those things with Bobby Munson, it's just become not routine, I would say. I still have to get my game face on to do that stuff, but it's become so much easier. And then, of course, with lessening of anxiety and such like that, it's improved my commentary and podcasting by just not rushing all the time, not being super nervous, not trying to go as fast as I can, 1,000,000 miles an hour, because I'm worried that there's not going to be enough time. No, chill, dude. Just have a talk, have a conversation, respond to some stuff, get your ideas out there, have a couple laughs, and there's your podcast right there. So, yeah, I got into it that way. It was a struggle at first, but I think just with repetition and practice, it's become a lot easier, and that's, of course, increased my enjoyment of doing that.
Perfect. And then the last one here is from OLED. He would like to say, Papa Smokes, you are an awesome person. I love getting to hear your wisdom and to talk about the territories that birthed the stars that WWE ended up making the backbone of the golden era. The question is for you, he has a two-part question for you, is how do you sit next to Bobby week in and week out? Just kidding. But the other part of that question is which territories were your favourites?
Okay, who was asking this question again?
Ed Fries.
Oh, okay, awesome. Yeah, well, it's funny you say sit next to Bobby every week, because for the first year or two, we started by sitting in the same room, as I like to call it, Papa Smokes, the Dungeon of Doom over here. So we did do the podcast sitting side by side for the first while, and commentary. I'll let Munson, when he gets the chance to tell some of these stories, there are a few details about those old sessions that I'm sure you'll find hilarious. But as far as the territories go, I have a bunch of favorites. Jim Crockett Promotions springs to mind, because we all know of their rich history, including the Crockett Cup Tag Team Tournament, which was a big favorite of mine back when I was a teenager and stuff. I like San Francisco as a territory, because they had a great promoter. They had so many good wrestlers, including Pat Patterson, who was just soaking in so much knowledge about booking and everything at that time, and went on to use that knowledge from the promoter Roy Shire and a few other people. He used so much of that knowledge successfully in the WWF, including creating the Royal Rumble event and all that stuff. That's pretty cool. I also like the Portland territory a whole bunch, because it has a lot of those wrestlers that I liked when I was a little kid. There are some Canadian territories that I like, and I also like some of the wild blood and guts stuff that used to go on in Texas and Tennessee, you know, the prototypical Southern wrestling, where they didn't seem to give a good goddamn what was going on with the rest of the wrestling biz. They were doing their own thing down there, touring all through Tennessee and all through the southern states, including Texas and Oklahoma and all that. So that's another area that I'll never watch all the stuff from that, because there's a lot of tape from some of those areas, thankfully. But yeah, those would be my favorite ones, probably by a long shot.
Perfect. Right, now we're going to get to the one question round. And I've currently got the dog licking my ear hole. So at some point, if you go stop, it's not to do with you, it's to do with my dog licking my face. Just to let you pre-warn you. But the first one is Vern Gagne.
Okay, sorry, what's the name again?
It's Vern Gagne. Just looking for one word answers to describe the person.
Okay. One word for Vern Gagne. Baby face.
Andre the Giant.
What's that next one?
Andre the Giant.
Smile.
MLW.
MLW.
Trying.
PPW.
PPW.
PPW. Home.
Bobby, you go for the next ones.
All right. Okay. I'll continue it on from there. Bud Heavy.
Bud Heavy. Friend.
There you go. El Assassino.
Eel.
All right. Okay, I'm trying to think. AWA.
Excellence.
All right. Trying to think of a couple more here.
Abdullah the Butcher.
Oh, yeah. Abdullah the Butcher.
Favorite.
Favorite. Okay.
Right.
All right.
Now we're going to move on to our local establishment people, and then we will end in wrestling companies. We've done TNA, we've done BBW, but the next one I would like to hear from you is about Astrid Pizarro.
I'm doing a one-word answer for Astrid.
Yep.
Yeah.
Professional.
Ed Fries.
Ed Fries. Grant.
Bobby Money Munson.
Bro.
Okay. Melbourne.
What was that one?
Melball.
Oh, Melball. Stardom. Trying to make something Japanese in there too.
That worked.
Andre C.
Passionate.
New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Can you repeat that one?
New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Oh. Exotic.
History.
History?
Yes.
Ooh. Knowledge.
Oh, that was such a good one. That was such a good one. WWE.
Monopoly.
I like that. So we got two left here for you. And I always leave myself last, so me.
What was that one?
Whatever bad word you can think to describe Mark.
No bad words. Enthusiasm.
And the last one that we ask everybody is family.
Family is the word?
Yes.
Comfort.
Oh. And I have to say, you did an absolutely incredible job today, even though we've had these technical issues and everything that's gone on. I want to say thank you ever so much for coming on today. You are one of the most anticipated people that I would wanted to talk to. I love what you do. I love you're passionate about the history. I think you're a fantastic person, and Bobby raves about you, nothing else as well. So I know Bobby a lot less longer than what you do, but if Bobby vouches for someone, then I can 100% say that I trust Bobby in his judgment from that. So we've had a bit of technical difficulties here today. It hasn't gone the way we wanted it to go, but I'm so thankful and so happy to have sat down with yourself to have this conversation. So thank you ever so much for being here today.
No, and thanks to you, Mark. It's been great meeting you. I apologize for the technical difficulties, which I think are on my end, but we're going to get that worked out. Thanks to everyone, yourself included, and everyone that had kind words to say. I feel the same about all the other people I know and have worked with at Ole. And Mark, because of those technical difficulties, we got to schedule something else. Well, we don't have to schedule it, but I would like to do something else with you so that we can make up for this, where I can be on screen with you and we can have an easier conversation. Should we do that sometime?
Absolutely. I would love to do that. I'm sick and tired of looking at Bobby's face and hearing your voice. I would much prefer to see your face, I'm not going to lie. But it was I would love to do something with you. We will definitely make something in the plans in the future for me and you to sit down and have a little chat again.
Sounds good. That'd be great with me too.
So the last thing I would like to say is, if you would like to let everyone know where they can find you, what you're doing and what you've got coming up.
We've got that expensive ticker on the screen for you, Papa Smokes.
All right. Okay. I can be found on Elon Musk's free speech wonderland known as X at smokes_papa. I'm also on Twitch sometimes at papa_smokes_. And as far as upcoming plans, we're going to keep doing Ring Respect Radio on Thursday nights as long as we can. We have a couple of exciting opportunities coming up. I know I've got a few ideas kicking around in my mind that I think could turn into excellent episodes of the show. Munson and I have a project coming up involving the university library here, which we've talked about a little bit. I won't get into it right now, but you guys will be seeing that coming up soon. Other than that, more match reviews, more book reviews, more show reviews, all that stuff, more of everything, and more trips through the territories. We're rolling good now. We're not about to stop. We're not going to give up. And with the support of all our friends, you, Mark, and all the people at Ole, we can get it done. We can get it out there, and people are listening, so it's exciting.
Perfect. Right, Bobby, while you're here, go on. Let everyone know what you've got coming up and exactly where they can find you.
Well, didn't really have to do that, but there's my ticker down below if you want to reach out to myself. As Papa Smoke said, Thursday night, Ring Respect Radio. I think we just made an agreement today that we're going to cover Riot City Wrestling out of Australia this coming Thursday night. They've got a release that just hit YouTube, so we're going to be touching on that. The thing that Papa Smoke's alluded to is we've got a special trip through the territories coming at you either on the 7th or the 21st of November, live from the University of Saskatchewan at Louis Pub there, in conjunction with the University of Saskatchewan to talk about the history of pro wrestling here in the province and everything. It's going to be a simul stream along with them. We will have a live audience present as well too, so there will be tickets available to come join myself and Papa Smokes in a live capacity. You can also catch us every Saturday afternoon on Prairie Pro Wrestling's YouTube channel, where we're calling all the action with a new match every single Saturday. I believe this weekend we got the Clandestine Society going up against the Loose Connection in tag team action, as we are looking forward to the 26th of October when we're going to crown live and in person the very first Prairie Pro Wrestling tag team champions. Aside from that, as always with yourself, Mark, we got Point of View on Sundays and all that wonderful fun stuff as well too.
Very much so. I'm looking forward to this one this Sunday. If things go to plan on Thursday night football, I will be a very happy man this week. So let's just hope how things go. I'm a very happy man today. Reading won 3-1, moving up to mid-table, loving life with after everything that's been going on. But if you want to know me and want to get to know what I do on Mark Talks Football, I do Football Manager 24 save currently. We've got Spurs. If we don't win the Champions League this week, we will be moving to another club, a different country, different continent to carry on our reputation builder to being one of the most successful English managers in the history of the game. So make sure you check that out on Mark Talks Gaming. We are concentrating solely on F1 Manager 24, trying to create the greatest team that's ever existed. And I can tell you what, next week's shows, along with this week's as well, but next week's shows are going to be electric. So please make sure you go and hit the subscribe button. But more importantly for Bobby Money Munson over here, Mark Talks Wrestling, we've got the WWE 2K24 Series 3 starting now. We have just released the draft video yesterday, which we recorded months ago. And we have also, I forgot some of the stuff that happened in that when I was going through the recording. And also, the first WWE UK show is out now as well. Tomorrow will be TNA, who is Bobby Money Munson's show, and the day after will be New Japan. I have just finished recording yesterday the Backlash Premium Live event where champions are crowned, new thumbnails. I've gone a different route than what I've done before. I thought I'd try and add a little bit of spice to it, so make sure you check that out as well. But with that, that has been the most weirdest and fun interviews I've ever done, where Bobby Munson turned into a ventriloquist halfway through the show, and I cannot go with that. But also as well, Saturday, before Bad Blood, I will be sat down with Bobby Munson himself, where we will be going through everything of his life, why he supports England, rightly so, by the way, and the other things that have happened about OLE. But we will also, Bobby, you're doing this as well. You haven't agreed to it yet, so I don't care. Me and Bobby will be doing Bad Blood, or I'll be doing it my own. One of that will be happening. But we will most probably be doing the review show of Bad Blood as well. But that will be the end of the interviews for the time being. There's a couple that I would like to do. Carl Sparks, he had a family thing and he was unable to turn up. So in the future, I would like to get him back and sit down with him. And there's others as well that I would like to sit down and have a chat with. But this is coming to an end. Oh, by the way, the week after that, this I can't remember, it's the other way. This Plonker is going to be interviewing me the week after the show, where I'm most probably going to be getting insults from everyone from OLE and the one-word answers, because I have put everyone under so much stress during the one-word answers that it's time for payback. So this could be interesting. But with love, with care, my name's been Mark. That has been Bobby Munson. Down there has been Papa Smokes on the phone. And we will see you guys in about 15 minutes time. NXT is debuting on CW with Ed Fries, Astrid Pizarro, and Melville Collins. Let's get ready. Make sure you go to the toilet. Make sure you go and get yourself some popcorn. Make sure you get yourself a big drink. Don't know what Bobby's doing there. Getting yourself a big drink and make sure you are sat on the sofa ready to go, because it's time for NXT. Peace.